Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Happy Saturday morning to everybody who's listening. Hope your weekend is off to a great start. Just a solo reaction here today. It's kind of crazy, like I was saying before, how in sports media, when you least expect it, a bunch of news breaks out. Every time you think there's going to be a little break, and I know that we're getting close to free agency starting, so things are starting to happen a little quicker. But whenever you're expecting a break, that's when all the trades happen. Chill Friday night. No, Geno Smith traded. And now news today on Sam Darnold. There's going to be a lot going on over the next few days. Ziggy and I unfortunately couldn't record last night, but able to get out a quick reaction this morning. If you have 2 seconds, please like this video, leave a comment, your thoughts on the trade, and if you can, please subscribe. It helps us out a lot as we continue to try to grow this channel and this show. We appreciate everyone, of course, who's listening. If you check the link, I'm going to, in the description, I'm going to put a link to the March Madness bracket challenge for the Paul Farrington Show. And that'll be coming out over the course of the next few days as the NCAA tournament field gets settled. But today, Geno Smith traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Seahawks send Geno to Vegas in exchange for a third-round pick in the NFL draft. Albert Breer was reporting that the initial trade offer by the Seahawks was Geno Smith and DK Metcalf over to Vegas for Max Crosby. Apparently that trade quickly shut down by the Raiders. There's no intention of trading Max at all. Geno has 1 year left on a 3-year, $75 million contract extension that he signed in March of 23. $25 million per year for Geno right now makes him 19th among starting quarterbacks. Geno wanted more than that. Whether or not you actually think he's worth that is up to you. I mean, obviously the Seahawks felt that they were ready to go in a different direction. They were willing to give him more of $35 million per year, and Geno was in the camp closer to $45 million per season. There are already 15 quarterbacks in the NFL, amazingly, who are making at least $40 million. Someone left a comment regarding our Brock Purdy video and was saying, if you like your quarterback, get these deals done. $50 million won't seem like much in a few years because that's just the rate. That's what Ziggy was saying. That's just the rate for a good starting quarterback right now, which is kind of crazy. And I understand that that's what's happening right now. But to me, it's like, man, if you don't believe in your guy, it's still a lot of money. I know that's the rate, but that's still a lot of money. The cap keeps going up, but $50 million, guys. So if you don't believe in your guy, I have no problem letting him go here. Before we get into it, let's get this out of the way, okay? If you're a Seahawk fan, Geno Smith gave you more than you could have expected coming in. Geno Smith's career when he became a Seahawk was, I don't want to say it wasn't a laughable career, but like people were laughing at it because he was a busted draft pick, flopped in New York, came into Seattle, and he gave you 3 really strong seasons, a playoff appearance, always great in the locker room. Like it seemed to me as a Viking fan watching that Seahawks fans love Geno Smith, and Geno Smith owes Seattle his career resurgence. So I think that in terms of bad blood, I don't think there's any here. It's just business, right? That's just sort of how it is at times in the NFL. Now, I am seeing that people are saying they're quote unquote stunned by this trade, that no one saw this coming. I don't know. We put out the episode on the Seahawks must trade Geno Smith like a month ago. In all likelihood, you're not going to find a quarterback who will have you better prepared to win this season than Geno. That's just my guess. Now look, I know Sam Darnold's on the radar for them, and I think Sam could fill in nicely, if not better, than Geno did. But let's pretend you can't get a quarterback who can take you as far as Geno Smith would have this season. You still knew what you were getting with Geno. It was a 9-8, 9-8, 10-7. That's who he was. The ceiling was there with Geno Smith. You weren't going further than the wild card round of the playoffs. The Seahawks were never going to win a Super Bowl with him at quarterback. As much as you like Geno, as much as I like Geno, and as relevant as Seattle was, because they were always a team that if you went into Seattle, you looked at that game on your schedule and went, that's probably going to be a loss, or that's a really tough game, especially if you're playing a night game. And I know the Packers went in and whooped them on I think Sunday Night Football. But when there's a night game in Seattle, at least for me, I always looked at that and went, tough game, tough crowd, solid team. So Geno kept them relevant, but going to the Super Bowl and going on a run, I didn't think this team was capable of it. If you kept Geno Smith, you were staying in purgatory. You were going to be a decent team, never drafting too high, but never actually having the results of a team that you want to be drafting in the 20s. So I applaud John Schneider, actually, the Seahawks general manager, for kind of having the guts to assess this situation and say, hey, we need to make this change, right? You're not in the business of going to the wild card round. You're in the business of going to the Super Bowl. Seattle has released Tyler Lockett. They've traded Geno. DK's requested a trade. You're seeing they're blowing it up, but they do have a strong foundation. That's a young defense right there. It's an improving defense. You have a star receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba, star running back in Kenneth Walker. Mike Macdonald seems like a great hire. He's the youngest coach in the league. When you look at Seattle, there are a lot of pieces to like. And John Schneider made the decision today to invest in the future of this team, or yesterday, to invest in the future of this team rather than the right now. And again, if they get Darnold, then you kind of reconsider this. I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to become the guy in Seattle. At the very least, you have a bridge quarterback for probably 2 years. We'll see what he gets. Like we can't, until Darnold signs, we don't really know. But you have to imagine that the ceiling is higher with Sam Darnold. The ceiling would be higher with the rookie quarterback. You're trying to get into the business of winning Super Bowls. And that's what I think John Schneider did today. Is it's always going to be a little bit of a roll of the dice. And whenever you have a team that's capable of going to the playoffs, it feels a little uneasy breaking that up, because look at teams like the Jets, man. Look at teams like the Giants. It's easy to get into this cycle of we can't find our guy and being bad every single season. But at least for me as a fan, I want to win. Like, I want to win the Super Bowl so bad as a Viking fan. And I just look at the situation we had with Kirk last year. I love Kirk Cousins. He's very, very good. I did think we were limited with Kirk. And we'll see if McCarthy winds up being the guy. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing with Darnold this year. I feel like we have a better chance of going out there and hoping JJ hits. So you roll the dice and you see what happens. If you don't believe in it, you have to keep going. So it seems like Seattle's zeroing in on Sam Darnold here. If he goes, again, I think I still view Seattle kind of similarly as to when they had Geno. Probably going to be contending for a playoffs. Probably a team that has that wild card, maybe divisional cap on them. So I don't mind it to stay relevant, but I still think they should be looking at younger options. Now, I'm not sure if they will, because if Sam goes to Seattle, at least there might be a verbal promise of, hey, this is your team for the foreseeable future. That's why I'm assuming Sam is leaving, or projected to leave Minnesota, is that the Vikings aren't ready to hand him over the "this is your team" contract. Maybe Seattle is. But if I were a Seahawks fan, I'd be hoping if we could get Sam Darnold on a 2-year reasonable deal, he's probably worth a little more than Geno Smith. And then kind of you're in the situation the Vikings were in. If Sam is unbelievable next season, roll with him, man. Keep rolling. And if he's not, you're still looking for younger guys. You're still looking for that next person because you have a young team. Now, if you could get that rookie quarterback contract, I mean, Seattle can quickly turn this thing around. Their roster is not super far off. So I don't mind it if that's the decision they wind up going with. As far as the Raiders, there are different stages for NFL teams. You have your teams like the Bills and the Chiefs and the Lions right now. The Super Bowl window is open. That's where anything short of a Super Bowl win, and you're going to be a little disappointed. You can have a great season, and you can acknowledge that. But you ask any Lions or Bills fans or Chiefs from last year, and there's some disappointment to the way that season ended. Then you have teams like the Seahawks, who have been winning, but a clear ceiling. And you kind of need to make a decision. You either need to double down and build around your guys and hope that they can elevate to a level that can advance further than the first or second round. They can become better players, more impactful players than they currently are, that you believe in them. Or you blow it up and you realize, hey, this was a great run. It was a fun era, but we need to start looking towards the future here. We need to start looking at the next wave of Seattle Seahawks or the next wave of whatever said team it would be. Then you have your team like the Raiders. You have your teams like the Jets. You have your teams like the Giants right now, or the Browns, where they just need to get back on the winning path. They need to reset the culture of the organization. They need to find stability. A 9-8 or a 10-7 season for these teams right now, you look at that and you go, okay, hey, we threatened or made the playoffs. The fans are excited again. Like, we feel like a real football team again for the first time in a while. That's what the Raiders need. And that's what the Raiders are doing this offseason. Everything in their power they're not winning the Super Bowl with Geno Smith. I don't even think they're going to go to the playoffs next season with Geno Smith. But I do expect the Raiders now with Pete Carroll in the building and Geno at quarterback. They've re-signed Crosby. I do expect them to be competitive. So you're not jumping for joy with this trade if you're a Raider fan, but you're acknowledging that they're trying to win. And they put themselves in a nice position to be a competitor. Again, not for a Super Bowl, but just to get back in the competitive spirit of football. Because they've been so bad, right, for a while now. That's what you're looking at here. If you're a Raiders fan, let's get this thing under control. And I'm sure I'd be shocked if they completely took off, the option of a quarterback in the first round of the draft here. I think they're still in their mindset. Geno's a great bridge to have. He's a really strong teammate. Stabilizes the quarterback room. Good guy to have for a young QB in the building. That's what you got Geno Smith for. Right? If they decide at this point, like, hey, we're going to go all in on Geno for 3 years and screw developing a young quarterback, then that's like, okay, they're acting like the Raiders. This is ridiculous. But the plan has to be bring in Geno, mentor a young quarterback, and have a transition right there. Like that. If that's it, great move. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to be what the move is. A little fun stat on Geno Smith, which I did not realize, and I don't take these things too seriously, but I enjoy seeing them. Geno moves indoors with the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium, which is awesome. I've been there for Notre Dame, BYU. Stadium's unbelievable. Really fun. I love going to new stadiums and just looking around. US Bank in Minnesota is probably my favorite for for obvious reasons, but Mercedes-Benz, the one down in Atlanta, I believe it's Mercedes-Benz, right? The Falcon Stadium, that was awesome. Is it Mercedes-Benz? I don't know. That was really fun. Saw a national championship there. Any stadium you guys like, drop it in the comment section. It doesn't have to be football stadiums. SoFi would be cool to go to. Haven't been there. But Geno moves indoors at Allegiant Stadium. And among his 50 starts with the Seahawks, when Geno is outdoors, he's had 36 starts, 25 of them coming at home, 11 on the road, 43 touchdowns, 31 interceptions, 89.7 QB rating. When Geno goes indoors for 14 starts, all on the road, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 110.8 rating. If you want to put any stock into that, go right ahead. I'm not going to put too much, but I mean, that's a clear discrepancy in the statistics for Geno. I'd at least keep my eye on it. See how he does next season. They need some more weapons in Vegas. But you got Brock Bowers there, and that's a pretty good start. So build up a little bit in that receiving room. You got Max Crosby. You got the pass rushers there. You got some emerging secondary players. Like, this is a team that can turn around faster. Again, we're seeing in the NFL now that once you get the quarterback locked down, you could get there pretty quickly. I keep giving the example of Jane Daniels and CJ Stroud, but guys, remember how bad we thought the Texans were going to be? You hit on a couple draft picks, and all of a sudden, here they are. And they're the AFC South defending champion 2 seasons in a row. They're the team that everybody in the AFC South is looking up to. Commanders, NFC Championship game. The Commanders were a laughing stock of the league a year ago. It's amazing how quickly your fortunes can turn if you just nail that quarterback position and then make a couple smart decisions. And right now, the Raiders have made a couple smart decisions. We'll see in the draft. They'll probably just wind up taking the fastest guy with the 40 guy, which seems to be the Raiders' MO. But if they nail the draft, I think that they're in a good spot here. So I actually like this trade for both teams. I think the Seahawks get to move on and finally restart this after a solid era with Geno, and the Raiders try to find that stability that they need. I can't see it really blowing up poorly for either team. Like if Geno's horrible, like, all right, he's 34 years old. Well, hopefully we got a younger guy coming up. And if the Seahawks just suck, you're looking for your quarterback now. So pretty low downside to this trade for me, and then high upside for both teams moving forward. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about here after a sip of coffee, because it is the morning. So Ian Rappaport put out this morning, with Geno Smith headed to the Raiders, the fallout is dramatic. The Seahawks turn their attention to Sam Darnold, which means the Vikings' time with Darnold is likely over as they turn their eyes to Daniel Jones. However, Daniel Jones has options with Minnesota and the Colts being among them. Aaron Rodgers lurks, considering the Giants with the Vikings as a dark horse. Justin Fields has a strong market as the Steelers work to re-sign him, but the Jets and others have interest. So we're kind of all over the map here with where these quarterbacks are going to go, but I think you can start to see the line shaping. And this is pretty much in line with everything I thought was going to happen with the Vikings here. It was time to let Sam go. That seemed like the situation where the Vikings were going to express interest, as they should, because Sam was unbelievable last year. But Sam wants probably a lot of money and a longer-term deal. Because who knows? He could come out next year and not play well. Get the security while you can. The Vikings love J.J. McCarthy. They want him to be the guy. That's very clear. Listen to anything anyone in the organization says. He is their guy moving forward. So you kind of are hesitant then to give Sam Darnold this massive deal, no matter how much you like Sam. And if he won't take the shorter-term deal, unfortunately, there's just two sides that aren't getting along here. And they're probably not going to come to a conclusion. So Sam moves on. Now you turn your attention to, we want this bridge quarterback. Well, Daniel Jones is an option right here. But again, this is a similar situation as Sam Darnold, where if Daniel Jones plays, he plays well. Now you're back in this whole will they, won't they situation. Unless if it's very clear to Daniel that, hey, by midseason or next season, J.J. McCarthy could take over. So again, another weird situation where I think that they're going to actually sign Daniel Jones and have him and J.J. battle it out. But if Daniel Jones is given, a better shot with the Colts, if the Colts are ready to not give up on AR, but are more likely to move on from AR than the Vikings would be to sit McCarthy for a while, then maybe Daniel Jones wants to roll the dice there. And that brings us to Rodgers, who, it's kind of crazy thinking about all the drama that Aaron Rodgers brings. And I'm sitting here saying, he'd actually be a good fit in Minnesota for 1 year. Because he's there for just 1 year. You don't have to deal with this. Oh, is he going to come back? Is he the franchise quarterback? Generally, it seems like he has good relationships with the young quarterbacks in the room. I think Jordan Love likes him. Zach Wilson for a while. It seemed like they were very buddy-buddy until maybe the very end. And then you have a team that's ready to win. And a coach that's ready to win. And an organization that does things the right way. And they're not still figuring it out. I think the Jets could get there with Aaron Glenn, but they have a lot to figure out in that building. If you go to the Giants, now you have a team where the tension is super high in that building between Brian Daboll and Joe Shane fighting for their jobs. What just happened with Saquon, not having a quarterback, the Giants have a talented team or have some talented players, but that organization, that culture is far removed from success. They're far removed from being a functioning, well-rounded organization right now. And if Rodgers came in and dominated, winning does cure all in the NFL. Like very quickly, again, snap your fingers, and you could have the Giants with Aaron Rodgers looking like a threat if he's great. If you have a great Aaron Rodgers, no matter what team he's on, you're basically going to have a threat. So I understand the Giants looking at him. They want to win. Again, kind of similar to the Raiders here, getting Geno Smith and trying to stabilize and just get back on the winning path. That's the Giants' vision. I just think when you combine Aaron Rodgers with the way their team currently is, that wouldn't work. Right? It would take great Aaron Rodgers. And I think on the Giants, you wouldn't get great Aaron Rodgers. On the Vikings, I think you could. So it's weird to think about bringing in a guy who's had so much drama attached to him. He doesn't want drama, he says, but then there always seems to be some story that's sparked because of Aaron Rodgers. But I've kind of always liked him. I don't know why. I just think he's entertaining. And I think he's a great football player. So if he comes to Minnesota, I will get excited. Whenever you have a legendary quarterback come into the building, I think you should get a little excited if they still have that magic. And I'd rather roll with Aaron Rodgers and JJ McCarthy. Like my preference would go. I think my preference would go Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy for the 1 year, then JJ. Second would be JJ this year with Daniel Jones backing him up. Third would be Daniel Jones with JJ backing him up. That's the order that I would probably want to see. The right order is probably to say JJ the whole time, but I can't help myself here. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's going to be a really fun next couple days here where we start to see the league kind of take shape and where these quarterbacks are going to go. I don't think any of these moves, the Vikings seem to be the real one that if Rodgers was great and went to Minnesota, there is championship upside. I don't think there's championship upside to Darnold in Seattle or Daniel Jones to the Colts or Justin Fields back to the Steelers or the Jets, like Rappaport was saying. The Vikings feel like the only destination with a team that's ready to go right now. The Steelers are very good, but I in the AFC North in that division, the offense is so limited with just George Pickens really scaring you. I think they have some more work to do. But it's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see what happens here. And unfortunately, Sam Darnold won't be coming back to Minnesota. I wish it could work out in the perfect way for both sides, but we're in a situation here where Sam he's going to want too much, and you have to be willing to let go. And the Vikings have shown, Kwesi's shown that he's very good at letting go. he's okay with letting the quarterback walk out of the building. And this year it paid off for them. It paid off letting Kirk go. So even though, I'm looking back on this Brock Purdy conversation we had, even though it's hard to let your guy go, sometimes a year later you look back on it and you say, probably the right decision. As much as we like Kirk, as much as we like Brock, if they ask for too much, they ask for too much. Now, sometimes you get a Peyton Manning situation where Peyton Manning goes and is an MVP for the Broncos and the Colts are going, we really like Andrew Luck, but maybe we could have held on. Like that could happen. But it's part of the roll of the dice. All right. Appreciate you guys for listening in on a Saturday morning. We'll be back Monday. I'm imagining is going to be the big day with the legal tampering period opening. If I'm remembering correctly, that's when all the news is going to be breaking. So I'm sure that there will be some instant reactions coming out over the next few days. Enjoy the basketball. Enjoy hopefully some warmer weather, and we'll see you early next week.